I'm Connor Kirkpat.
I'm Rob DeFelice.
And this is Halftime on the Hudson. As I said, I'm Connor Kirkpat, and this is Halftime on the Hudson. Let's get right into the news.
UFC fighter Jon Jones was arrested in Las Vegas, Nevada on September 24th for domestic violence charges after Jones had allegedly hit his fiancée. He was also charged with damaging a vehicle after he headbutted a police patrol car. This altercation occurred after the former UFC light heavyweight champion had been inducted into the UFC Hall of Fame. Jones was released from Clark County Jail after posting an $8,000 bail and is scheduled to return to court on October 26th. Jones hasn't fought in the UFC in over a year, and his future with the UFC is unknown. What do you think, Connor?
Listen, this is a really tough situation for the people that Jon Jones harmed, his fiancée and his family, because this is the tough thing with Jon Jones is that, one, this is a terrible thing that he did. And I don't blame the UFC if they don't want to let him back in, because not only has this been a problem, but he's also been suspended twice from the UFC and had his title stripped because he's been using illegal substances. So this compiled with that, and I mean, this all came right after he made it into the UFC Hall of Fame too, which I think is also a questionable decision because he was banned for those substances. And now this, I mean, you just put the guy in there. Do you take him out? I mean, do you ever let him fight again in the UFC? He's been in consideration. He is considered by a lot of people to be the best pound-for-pound fighter in the UFC, and he was expected to come and have another big comeback fight that he was preparing for. You know, some were saying Israel Adesanya, some people were saying he was going to go to heavyweight. It was up in the air, but now I think his future's a big question mark in the UFC.
Yeah, and you know, I love watching him fight. I think he's, talent-wise, is a great fighter, but with all of the out-of-the-octagon issues, you know, it's hard to say that he's the best fighter in the UFC right now when he's not fighting. You know, there's so many other fighters that have been fighting. Some of them have fought 3 fights in the last year. You know, Usman, Adesanya, all of them. But it's hard to say he's the best when all he's been doing is fighting off trouble.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that. And I think some people are going to wonder, with Jon Jones being gone, who is the best pound for pound? And I'm going to go off what you said. I'm going to go with Kamaru Usman. I would say is probably the best pound for pound between his striking and what he does on the ground and the way he finds ways to submit people and use leverage on the ground. It's just super impressive. And Kamaru Usman is a guy who doesn't really have out of the octagon issues. And he's got a big fight coming up against Colby Covington, which would be a lot of fun to watch. So looking forward to that. But Jon Jones, really tough thing for his family to be going through. So
absolutely,
thoughts are with them. In other news, the St. Louis Cardinals have officially clinched the second wildcard spot in the National League. This clinch came after the team took their 17th straight win by beating their rivals, the Milwaukee Brewers. Now, this I don't think was really expected. I mean, the Mets, the Phillies, especially the Padres, were all expected to make the playoffs before the St. Louis Cardinals did. And now none of those teams are going to make it, but the Cardinals will. And they're going to play the Dodgers, who, I mean, I don't know if they're going to be able to pass the Dodgers and be able to beat them in that one elimination wildcard game. But tell me, what do you think? Do you think that these Cardinals teams, as hot as they are, can go up and match the Dodgers in a wildcard game?
You know, their streak has been pretty incredible so far. They've been playing great baseball on all aspects. You know, they've been fielding great, batting great, pitching even better. But, you know, with the team that they have over with the Dodgers, I can't see them beating them.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with you there. I really don't see, with Scherzer and all those guys that they have there, it just doesn't seem like it's going to happen. But that shouldn't take anything away from what the Cardinals have accomplished, because they still look like a pretty good baseball team.
They do indeed.
No doubt
about
it.
Should be an interesting series to watch for sure.
Yeah, no doubt about it. No doubt about it. So over this past week, I don't know if you saw in the NFL, there were two big-time signings, but they weren't of super explosive players or super, you know, huge. I mean, they are big names. They were big names, I say. Let's put it that way. They were, because they're veterans. One of them is Josh Gordon. He signed a one-year deal worth $210,000, and he signed with the Chiefs. So the Chiefs, who are sitting at a surprisingly bad record of 1-2 right now, are looking to find a way to get things back on track and improve their offensive game, even though what really needs improvement to me is that defense, because, man, that is Swiss cheese. That stuff is bad. You can... Any quarterback, I think, can throw all over. I think Jay Cutler can go out there and go for 400 yards on that defense. Then you had Richard Sherman, who was signed to a one-year contract that was worth up to $2.25 million. And he went to a team filled with a lot of other old heads. That's the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who are also looking for ways to improve their defense, because their defense was great last year, but they still have given up a decent amount of points, especially to the Rams. And in week 2 against the Atlanta Falcons, they gave up nearly about 30 points, I want to say, which not a great look. The Atlanta Falcons really aren't that great of a football team. But tell me, what do you think of these two signings? What do they tell you?
You know, the Josh Gordon signing, I have a bit of mixed feelings about. You know, he hasn't played in 5 or 6 years. I mean, he bounced around in the FCF and the AIF and all of that stuff, but, you know, hasn't seen real competitive action in quite a few years. So it's hard to tell how he's actually going to perform when he gets back on the field. And it almost feels like a desperation signing for the Chiefs. Yeah. When, in my opinion, the Chiefs definitely should have signed someone on their defense if they were going to make a signing. But it's tough to see that. But, you know, when it comes to the Bucs are now looking like some kid got his mom's credit card on Madden Ultimate Team and is just buying unlimited packs. So that's a great signing for the Bucs. You know, add that veteran presence. Interested to see, though, the relationship between Sherman and Tom Brady, because they do have a little bit of a history. Sherman came out today and said, you know, he's a great guy and will do what it takes to win. But I don't know what that tension will look like between the two of them. Yeah,
that's going to be super interesting to see. And I do want to mention, though, it's crazy to think about how good this Buccaneers team would be if this was about 6 years ago, 7 years ago, right? They have guys like Richard Sherman on the squad, Jason Pierre-Paul, Tom Brady, Antonio Brown, an absolute insane team a couple of years ago. I mean, they still all have talent, obviously. I mean, they won the Super Bowl last year, but that team, man, this sounds like a team that you would build on Madden if you're doing a little fantasy draft thing when you start a league or something like that. It's crazy stuff, crazy stuff.
Absolutely. And keeping with NFL news, you know, question to be asked: what do you think is the most legit 3-0 team, and what do you think is the least legit 3-0 team? Because to me, you know, I think the LA Rams are the easy pick for the most legit. You know, they have the most put together team on all sides of the ball. They showed against the Bucs that they can pick apart any team that they want. They have no major holes. They have a plus 33-point differential against their opponents so far this season, and their defense ranks like top 5 in points and yards given. So the Rams are just looking absolutely incredible. And I'm not saying Jared Goff's a bad quarterback. I'm not. But it looks like Matthew Stafford might just be the missing piece that they needed in order to make them contenders again. What do you think?
Yeah, listen, I'm going to agree with you on that. Listen, since last year, I was touting for the LA Rams, especially when they made the playoffs. I said that they were my dark horse to make a really deep push into the playoffs, and they went out and beat the Seattle Seahawks in round 1. And I think I'll agree with you on the Jared Goff thing. I don't think Jared Goff is a bad quarterback. I mean, I actually think he's looked pretty good with the Detroit Lions. I'm going to go as far as to say that. I think he looks like a pretty good quarterback out there that they can use for the next few years. But Matt Stafford is just a better one. He's just a better quarterback all around than Jared Goff. I think Matt Stafford is one of the most underrated quarterbacks of all time. I mean, his skill set is absolutely phenomenal. I think his skill set ranks up there with Aaron Rodgers as far as skill goes, not necessarily record or statistics, but just looking at what the two players can do, I think Matt Stafford is incredible. So I'm happy he's getting success there, and so I'm going to agree with you. I think the LA Rams look absolutely amazing this season.
Definitely. And now, as much as it pains me to say it, I think the Denver Broncos are probably the least legit 3-0 team right now. I mean, although they're 3-0, the combined record of their opponents is 0-9. Their defense has looked very good, letting up only 26 points all season so far. But it's not really fair yet to say how incredible their defense is when they're playing the worst 3 teams in the league. And I mean, same thing to say about Teddy Bridgewater. He's had a 76.8 completion percentage, which is 2nd in the league, and a 77.8 QBR, which is 5th in the league. And he's thrown 0 interceptions. But again, who has he played? So it's interesting to see coming up. They got Baltimore, they got Pittsburgh, and they got the Raiders in the coming weeks. So that'll be the true test to see, you know, is Denver really an undefeated caliber team, or have they just gotten lucky with their scheduling so far?
Yeah, I think they did get a little lucky with their scheduling. Now, that's not to say the Denver Broncos are a bad football team. I especially like them on the defensive side of the ball, and they have great weapons at wide receiver. But nonetheless, they've played 3 really bad teams, like really bad. It's the worst 5, like the bottom 3 that you can get in the NFL, essentially, is who they've played. So they got really lucky there, and it made them be 3-0. I think they're definitely going to have challenges once they face Baltimore and Las Vegas. When it comes to Pittsburgh, I think that team really doesn't know who they are right now. They kind of got punched in the mouth against the Raiders, and then this week they've had some struggles as well when they lost to the Bengals. I mean, that was a bit of a shock. So when it comes to Pittsburgh, they might be able to – I think that's a good test because I feel like the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Denver Broncos are kind of on the same level in the sense that both teams' offenses are kind of in question, but their defenses are super good. So we're going to see how they shape up there. But, yeah, I'm going to agree with you, and I'm going to go out and say that the Denver Broncos are the least legit 3-0 team. They really don't look all that great to me.
And unfortunately, the injury bug is really hitting the Broncos. You know, KJ Hamler's now out for the season with a torn ACL. Judy's still going to miss a few other weeks as he's recovering from his injury. Chubb and Von Miller can't seem to be on the field together at any point in time since Bradley Chubb's been drafted. So, you know, it's the third week of the season, and they're already getting smacked with the injury bug. So throw that on top of it. Hopefully, you know, as a fan, hopefully things will still be okay. You know, they still got Tim Patrick. They still got Cortland Sutton. Judy will be back eventually. They still got Noah Fant at tight end. But, again, it's just so hard to tell at this point.
Yeah, and that's definitely the injury bugs really hurt them. It kind of feels like they're cursed in a way a little bit with that, especially with the Von Miller and the Bradley Chubb thing. I mean, last year with Chubb being on the field and Von Miller not being, and everybody said Von Miller looked like he was in the best shape he's ever been. And then cut to this year, we have Von Miller and no Chubb. Yeah. So it's definitely a tough state for the Denver Broncos. But with that finishes up the news that we had. And what we're going to do is, before our game show, we have a very special new segment. And that segment's with you, Rob. Yes, Are you excited for that?
I am.
Okay. So before we cut over to that What If segment, we're going to cut to this week's clip of the week.
India lifts it. Longer, hard run. Cole Tucker in foul ground. Gives up the body and makes the play.
That's a nice play by Cole Tucker. Went a long way for that. I mean, he can play shortstop. He plays third. We've seen him play in the outfield.
Somebody yells in. Cole Tucker makes an unbelievable catch. Throws to first. What a play. Oh, my. That is sensational.
One of the best of the year right there. That was phenomenal.
And launches one to right field. Did he do it? Grand salami! Cole Tucker, it's your night.
Hello. I hope you enjoyed the clip of the week. I know I did. But let's get to some more important matters, because there's much more important things to discuss right now. And that is, first, let me get into things in this manner by introducing you in this way. When it comes to what we see today in entertainment, one of the biggest things that there are is the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Heroes like Iron Man, Spider-Man, and Captain America have swept across both the silver screen and the small screen. With the small screen, we've seen shows like WandaVision and Captain America and the Winter Soldier, or the Falcon and the Winter Soldier, excuse me. He is the Captain America, though. We know that. And, of course, What If? Marvel's first attempt to dabble with animation. And What If is a really great show, right? It's contemplating all of the what ifs of what if this happened in the Marvel Universe? What if this happened to this hero? Well, today on the show, we got a special treat for you, because it's a little what if of our own. Because there's a lot of what ifs that could have happened in the world of sports. So, journey with Rob DeFelice to explore the vast realities of what if sports.
Time, space, reality, sport. It is more than just a linear path. It is a prism of endless possibility, where a single choice can branch out into infinite realities, creating alternate worlds from the ones you know. I am the sports watcher. I am your guide through these vast new sporting realities. Follow me and ponder the question, what if? The 2000 NFL Draft has just concluded, and the Michigan quarterback Thomas Brady is devastated that his name was never called. He thought he had what it took to play in the league, but apparently no team wanted to take a chance on him. In the days that follow, he anxiously awaits calls from the teams, but never got them. Eventually, he gives up and decides to pursue his other passion, baseball. He calls the Montreal Expos, who had drafted him previously in 1995, and signed to their minor league team. He only amounted to a 7-year mediocre career before being moved on from by professional sports. Meanwhile, the New England Patriots are in absolute turmoil as their star quarterback, Drew Bledsoe, was injured in week 2, and Damon Howard, a career backup, led the team to 8 straight losses until Bledsoe returned. The Patriots missed playoffs that year and continued to do so for 3 more years after, when they fired their head coach Bill Belichick and released Bledsoe. The Patriots' one choice gave birth to a whole new history and erased the 20-year dynasty that could have been. As for me, these are my stories. I observe all that transpires here, but I do not, cannot, and will not interfere, for I am the sports watcher. Now, let's return to our reality.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to everyone's favorite game show, Prove Your Point. We got two new contestants on the show today, Derek DeGallo and Stephen McDonald. And we got some good stuff in for you today. I think this is going to be a good competition. Two newcomers trying to cut their teeth and see what they can do in their very first show. So we're just going to get things kicked off right now. And we're going to start with you, Derek. All right. I'm going to give you the privilege because you were on the show last week. You were on a halftime in the Hudson dorm discussions.
Yep.
All right. So we're going to give you the pleasure of starting us off. Tell me, is it good for Mbappe to leave PSG after they got Messi?
It is not good for Mbappe to leave PSG after they got Messi. And the reason is, honestly, like with Messi, Neymar Jr., like on the squad, he's going to get more touches. They're going to try to double team Messi. They're going to try to double team Neymar, and he's going to have ample opportunities to get some goals, and he's still going to win a lot of games with that high-powered offense with those forwards for PSG.
Solid stuff. I definitely see where you're coming from, but I want to see what this guy has to say. Tell me, Stevie Mac, what's going on?
Oh, nothing much, you know. When I see Mbappe, I think of a world-class player, right? What's more world-class than Real Madrid? That's where he's headed to, right? He gets to play under the world-class manager of Carlo Ancelotti himself, right? He gets to come on a free. Real Madrid doesn't have to fork over any money, meaning they get to spend that money to bolster the squad, build it around him. This is Mbappe's dream. No better time, right? Maurizio Pochettino under PSG, what has he done? Couldn't tell you, because he hasn't done anything. That's why. Carlo Ancelotti, Champions League winner 4 times, right? That says it. It says it all in itself.
Gentlemen, way to kick things off in your very first round ever of the show. And I will say, 2 good arguments. But I think I'm going to have to side with Stevie Mac on this one. You did a great job talking about the soccer stuff. I know you're a soccer guy. So great stuff running it through. But, you know, you got this advantage in the first round.
Yeah.
You know the soccer, right? Derek knows what's coming up next in the next round. I know he's got a stake in this. Next up, we have, will the Yankees make the World Series? Big Mac, you won the first round. Kick us off.
Oh, thank you so much. The answer is simple. Yes. That's the channel the Yankees play on. Simple. They're winning it. Yankees perform big time in the playoffs, right? The pitching staff this year, it's been the best it's ever been. Specifically, the pitching staff has, as a total, has had as an ERA of 3.7. That's the lowest it's been since 1981, right? I mean, for us Yankee fans, I know we've been complaining about the pitching for a long time. This is the best it's been in a while. The hitters like DJ LeMahieu, Giancarlo Stanton, Aaron Judge, they like to perform in the big lights, the big show. I mean, what better opportunity than now?
That's a good point. I mean, listen, they've found a way to kind of bounce back as the year has gone on. They really didn't start well, but you're right. Their bullpen has looked pretty good as of late, especially now that they're getting Johnny Loizaga back. I know he's coming back tonight as we speak. I believe he's playing in the game. So yeah, they got a lot going for them. But Derek, how about you?
I hate to say this as a Yankee fan, but I got to go with the Yankees will not make the World Series, and it's very sad to say this. But first of all, Jameson Taillon just got hurt. There's uncertainty with the starting rotation. Who knows about Herman? Who knows? I mean, obviously they just DFA'd Heaney, which is a good move, but their bats are too inconsistent. You look at the Chicago White Sox, who are contact heavy. They don't need to hit home runs every single time like the Yankees. And when you look at the Yankees lineup from top to bottom, it's a lot of strikeout or home runs. In the playoffs, there's not a lot of home runs. It's better pitching, and we've seen it in the past. The Yankees are always the favorites going in. This year, they're not. But every single time they've been in that kind of situation where they don't have, yes, they got that ace in Garrett Cole, but do they really have that 2-starter? Not really. Their bats are just power heavy, and there's not. And in the playoffs, you can't be power heavy and strikeout. You got to make contact.
Yeah, no, I'm going to agree with you there. I think the thing is with the Yankees is that when they're good, they're good. But the issue is when they're bad, they're bad. And there's too many times where they go from being really good to really bad for a long stretch of time, right? They're too streaky, and they've admitted that themselves, that they're a little bit too streaky. So because of that, I mean, as good as the Yankees have been in the past few days, and with their bullpen being what it is, and with Stanton and Judge being as hot as they are, I'm just not sure if they can retain that. So, Derek, I'm going to have to give you this round. I don't know if the Yankees are really going to be World Series contenders, seriously, this year, as much as I would like them to be. But moving on, our final topic, we're going to a decision here. You guys both got around. So this is when we come down to the wire. This is some overtime stuff right here. Tell me, we've seen 2 rookie quarterbacks playing, Trevor Lawrence and Justin Fields. And they've both done some good things, and they've both done some bad things. I think we can both agree on that. But tell me who you like better. And I think first we're going to kick it off to Derek. You won the last round, so go ahead and take it away.
So I would believe that Justin Fields is better than Trevor Lawrence. And honestly, you look at the difference, and neither of them have really played well. But the efficiency of Justin Fields to throw tight passes in windows where Trevor Lawrence has not been able to do so far this season, as well as being able to move the football in small portions. He's done a lot better running the football with the Chicago Bears so far, as well as he's just a more mobile quarterback. When he's on the field for the Chicago Bears, there's a significant impact on the Bears over Trevor Lawrence, where the Jaguars really haven't been able to do anything, and with Justin Fields, they've actually been able to win a football game, unlike Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, the time that Justin Fields has gotten, now that Andy Dalton is injured, I mean, he's looked pretty solid. Even though they had a tough game against the Browns, I think he has a lot of potential. But Trevor Lawrence, I mean, he was the #1 pick, man.
Yeah.
Right? He was the #1 pick. He's the one that everybody expects to be the next great. He's had his struggles, and he's, like I said, he's had his successes so far. But tell me, Steven, looking like a Clark Kent version of Trevor Lawrence himself, what's going on? How do you feel about Trevor Lawrence?
Well, let me tell you, obviously, for everybody, you're going to have your ups and downs in the NFL. It's just unfortunate that his came at the beginning, and it is what it is at this point. I mean, the way I look at it is, we're arguing that Justin Fields is better than Trevor Lawrence. -1 net yards in his NFL career, his short NFL career, Justin Fields, right? That, talking about efficient offense, I don't know. I don't know, just the math doesn't add up. Trevor Lawrence, however, he's taken a pretty bad, abysmal Jacksonville Jaguars team with a rookie head coach on the NFL scene. In my opinion, Urban Meyer does not know what he's doing in the NFL, right? The players are not on his side, as they feel his system is too college-oriented. When your players, who are supposed to be on your side, the coach's side, are not, you're already set up for a sticky situation, right? But what I feel, Trevor Lawrence has shown a lot of flashes. He's made a lot of good throws. Yes, he's made a lot of bad ones. The first one that comes to mind is that flea flicker against Arizona. I don't know what he was doing, but never mind that, right? He's going to come good, right? Justin Fields, right now, he's been absolutely abysmal, and I would argue he has a better head coach, and better weapons as well when compared to Trevor Lawrence. So I would be very disappointed in Justin Fields if I was a Bears fan.
You guys have put me in an interesting predicament, because I feel like both of them, as I've said, have had some really tough times, and that makes it hard to choose which one is better. But I will say, I think that because he hasn't had as much time, we don't have as much evidence for Justin Fields. There's not as much evidence, I feel like, to prove whether or not he really is that bad. Yet where Trevor, on the other hand, has thrown a lot of picks, made a couple of bad decisions, and yes, I mean, he's got a pretty bad Jacksonville Jaguar team to work with, I agree, Urban Meyer does not belong as an NFL head coach. But I feel like Trevor, for being where he was taken with that value, with the #1 pick, and throwing so many interceptions and not really being that big difference maker that the team expected, makes me have a little bit more confidence in Justin Fields. So, Derek, I'm going to agree with you on that. I think Justin Fields is the guy, more so than Trevor Lawrence at this point in time. Now, do I know what's going to happen in the future? No, I don't. But based on your arguments, I think that's what I'm going to have to go with, Justin Fields. So, Derek, I'm going to give you this. You won your first game of Prove Your Point. Tell me how you feel about it.
Absolutely fantastic so far. I mean, I can be more proud of myself to finally get a victory so far as a freshman at Marist College.
Nice. Congratulations, and I hope you're going to find yourself back on the show. Now, Big Mac, tell me, your first loss in your first show, but tell me this isn't going to discourage you, because I want to see you back on here because I liked your arguments.
You know, of course it won't discourage me. You know, right now I'll eat the humble pie. You know,
Yes, yeah.
I was talking a bit of smack beforehand, and you know, I think like it came back to bite me. You know, but you know, I'll take it. You know, you got to be gracious in your loss. So then when you win, it tastes that much more better. So that's what I gotta say.
Truer words have never been spoken. You know what? I think all the greats need to be humbled early in their career, so that they know how much their value is worth and that they don't overvalue themselves. I mean, look at Peyton Manning, right? Not a great rookie year to start out, and look what he became, one of the GOATs. So I think that's the same in your case. You're going to be one of the GOATs on here on Prove Your Point.
Oh.
As will you, Derek, as will you. You did a great job starting it off. And you know, some rookie quarterbacks start right off the bat hot. Look at Joe Burrow last year, right? It looked really good until he got hurt. Everyone, anyway, that's enough analogies for these two gentlemen. Thank you so much for joining us on Prove Your Point. And let's jump on over back with Rob to see what's going on in Marist Sports. Hello, everybody, and welcome back. And let's talk about some Marist stuff to close out our show today, because a couple things happened within Marist Athletics and within Marist Sports that are worth mentioning.
Absolutely.
First thing that we could talk about is the women's volleyball team. While the women's volleyball team has had its struggles this season, they were able to grab their first 2 wins of the season in back-to-back games on Saturday and Sunday. Those wins came over Manhattan and Iona, with Jordan Newblad and Madeline Woolmans being the key to the Red Foxes' success. They look to continue their streak tonight against the Quinnipiac Bobcats. So good luck to our Red Foxes in that game.
In other news, the Marist football team fell to Bryant this past weekend by a score of 34-17. While the team did lose, the event marked a few historic occasions. It was the highest number of attendance at Tenney Stadium, and it was the first time a rookie quarterback started for Jim Parody during his 30-year career. That rookie, Brock Bugosi, played a solid game, finishing with 2 passing touchdowns, 211 yards in the air, and a passer rating of 114.4. Good start from a rookie in his first start.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I mean, you couldn't ask for a better start from your rookie there. And in case anyone missed it, a Marist baseball player was actually drafted into the MLB by the Cincinnati Reds. For now, he'll get reps in the minors, but who knows? With some hard work and dedication, which is something that he's had throughout his whole college career, he might find his way into the minors one day. So be sure to watch out what's going on there.
Absolutely. And for any more information regarding Marist Sports that you're looking to find, be sure to check out any of the stories on the Centerfield site or at the end of the Marist Circle newspaper.
Yeah, no doubt about it. All those stories are completely student-run and student-written and student-edited, so it's really great to see the students at Marist getting some good work and reporting, especially now that we can go back to games again, now that we have games again. It's great to see. So be sure to check out the Marist Centerfield website. Well, I'm Connor Kirpat.
I'm Rob DeFelice.
And that's all for today on today's segment of Halftime on the Hudson. We'll see you again. Ciao.